Welcome to another book review. Today we are going to discuss The Deal by L. Kennedy, which is part of the series of Off Campus. Honestly, I didn't expect to like this book. This was sort of suggested via TikTok. I was just scrolling one day and someone was talking about this book. And they're like, oh, it's so good, and I loved it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a TikTok suggestion for once. It's a New York Times bestseller. To be honest, I loved it. I couldn't put it down. I've never really read a book kind of like this before. I mean, yeah, it's a typical romance, but I really loved the character development, which I realized later that this is a series. When I bought it, I didn't know it was part of a series. Even when how it was written, you wouldn't expect it to be part of a series, but after checking out the other books in the series, I realized exactly what it's doing, but we'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, The Deal is about a student, Hannah Wells, who's basically, in my opinion, an excellent friend. I guess you could put it that way. She's basically just a girl who had something happen to her, and she just wants to move on from it. Like any girl, she's, well, not like any girl, but like most people, she has a crush on someone that basically doesn't know she exists, to put it lightly. So, of course, she's smart. She's a music major. Basically, how this goes is she's just a typical girl going to college, doing her thing, and while everyone else is struggling in this class, she is not. She aces one of the midterms and basically captures the attention of one of the guys she never in her life sees herself even talking to or discussing. So with that being said, in a tangle of events and a comedy, she ends up tutoring this person by the name of Garrett. Garrett is a star hockey player of the college team. He needs a certain GPA to continue to play. He's struggling in the class that he has with the girl who's named Hannah. And basically he enlists her to tutor him. So that way he can get his grades up, so that way he can continue to play hockey. So that way he can go on and be the most famous hockey player in all the land. Blah, blah, blah. Naturally, of course, with any story that has to do like this, where you're tutoring, emotions tend to get involved. And I do mean for sure there's no way emotions were not going to get involved, because in the story, Hannah has a crush on the star football player, not hockey, football player. And he basically doesn't know she exists. So Garrett basically makes a deal with Hannah that if she tutors him, then he will basically make it to where this football player notices her. And why? Because if she pretends to date the star hockey player, who has an awesome personality and he has all the popularity in the world, that he'll start to notice her and like her. And basically, every man wants something that they can't have, according to the book. The way this book is written, very, very hilarious. I had a lot of little gasping, shocking, laughing moments. I couldn't put it down because you want to know what happens next. The only thing I will say, this book is not a 5 out of 5 compared to books I've read recently. I would say 4 out of 5. I give it a 4 out of 5 is, one, the beginning was kind of long-winded. 2, I didn't like how how she threw in this traumatic incident that happened with Hannah. I didn't like the way they threw it in the book. They explained why they threw it in that way, but it's just the way they kind of introduced the topic. It was out of nowhere and kind of made me feel uncomfortable when I was reading it. It was just thrown out there like going bike riding or something. It just made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But, I mean, I kept reading because, you know, sadly, stuff like negative things and bad things happen. But I just kept reading to see, you know, where they were going to go with it. And the way they did fully explain and discuss the topic and all that, it made more sense. So I'm glad I pushed myself to keep reading. But I don't know, it's just a little bit off-putting when how and when they just threw it in there. I was just kind of like, okay, that's not something lightly to just throw into a book. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, easing into it would made it any better, but I'm just saying, I don't know. It made me feel uncomfortable. I love the characters. I love the supporting characters. All of Hannah's friends, all of Garrett's friends in the hockey team. I love that they all decided to give the male, you know, hottie depth. His character does have a lot of depth. He's not just a dumb jock who has a sweet side. He has a lot of layers to him, which I adored. I love that they gave Hannah more depth as well. Not just the nerdy girl next door dreaming or drooling over a jock. I like that they gave them levels. Besides it being very slow in the beginning, once it picks up, it does start picking up. I absolutely adored it. Will I continue with the series? I don't know. Not that I didn't like the story. I love the story. I loved the hockey sport of it all. I loved the characters. I love the story. It's just when I bought it, I wasn't introduced to it as a series. And the story, how it ends, it kind of ties it up with a bow that I feel like I don't need to continue the series. I mean, how I believe it's written, there are spin-offs of this one with these characters intertwined within the story, if that makes sense. Because from my understanding, the next book doesn't even talk about Hannah and Garrett. It focuses on two of their friends, which I find interesting because you clearly get introduced to their friends in this book. So I don't see how it's going to continue, which is why I might read it, because it piques my interest. But like I said, this one was good enough for me, and it was good. I would possibly even read it again because of the comedy, the romance, and how I really fell in love with the characters. But it's just, I don't know if I'd continue it, because from my understanding, it's like 6 books. I don't believe you need all that, honey. And to be honest, I've heard of this book multiple times on TikTok. I never really heard much about the others in the series, which is why I didn't know this was a series in the first place. But anybody who's looking for a good, cute little romance, and this one's depicted in college, which was refreshing too, because a lot of romance books lately, they're either high school still or young adult life. This one, it was nice to see them, you know, in college. And considering the fact I graduated from college, I was able to resonate with a lot of things that happened and occurred in this book. So, it's The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I say check it out. It's a good read. And it's not that thick, so I finished it within 2 days. I couldn't put it down. It was really good. So, check it out.